In Vancouver, here's a house in one of the suburbs that when I was a kid in the 70s, a house was around maybe $26,000. This just sold for $1,350,000. That was on the street where I lived in a suburb of Vancouver. And our salaries only went up maybe like 4 times as much, but our houses went up like 1,000 times. Whatever it is, it's not normal. The Vancouver model, when Expo 86 happened, it was like a for sale sign, because they knew the people from Hong Kong were going to be leaving and there was going to be a lot of millionaires, and these people did not believe in debt. And they felt that this was a big success to start selling to all the Chinese people. Not all, I'm just saying some of the Hong Kongers. And granted, they had to leave because they knew that it was going to be hell coming. But the way the Vancouver politicians did it, if you look at the Rank and File documentary, RANKIN, when Gordon Campbell won the election for no weird reason, they turned Vancouver and the suburbs into a hellhole within 15 years. And right off the bat, they started pandering to the Chinese-speaking population. And they didn't care what their citizens thought. So people were moving out because they couldn't afford to live there. Like year after year, the encroachment continued. And there's no one in Vancouver who's an original. Well, not no one, but most people had to move further and further out. So you've got a house like this that was like $30,000 in the early 70s. Now it's $1 million, $350,000. You can calculate how many times that has gone up. And if you can imagine the amount of money we're talking about in one model area of the world, which is what the North America is following. This is the coastlines. There's lots of seafood, lots of living. Open arms. They open their arms like Montezuma. And then they even changed the signs in Richmond to all Chinese signs, even the banking things all of a sudden. They didn't even encourage people to speak English or to become a Canadian. Now, do you think that's kind of a cop-out, like in the biggest way? But can you see how this has changed culture all the way through, that you can't even say something without second-guessing it because it's like, well, then again, it depends on this and that. Like, you can't be straightforward anymore. And then it didn't take too long after that. It was not even in the 90s when they started saying, well, now let's go for the Mandarin speaking, the Chinese of the mainland, which are not at all like the Hong Kongers, because the Hong Kongers had 100 years of the most capitalized civilization in the world was Hong Kong. And they didn't, that's where all the mainland Chinese were fleeing to, plus Shanghai, but they were escaping into Hong Kong. There's a big difference, but see, these British Canadians didn't know that. They don't care. They just thought, well, all Chinese are the same. But there's a difference. In China, you had to be an atheist because they were following purely as to the letter, beyond the wildest dreams of Marx and Lenin, murdering their own people because they were the most mistreated people on earth. You can see the 21 agreements of the Treaty of Versailles, how they kept getting, disrespected by white people. This is like, I don't know how this karma is going to fall down. I don't know how this karma is going to fall down, and upon whom. But there are people who are wicked, and there are people who are turned into wicked. You know, sometimes you're bad because things happen to you that, you know, it wasn't your fault. And there are things that times when you actually do it to others. I forget how you put that, but anyways, that's just a little snippet of the Vancouver model that is encroaching. So I just wanted to let the world, North America, know on the East Coast and into the middle. If you didn't know, a price of a house went from $30,000 in the late 60s, early 70s to $1.5 million. So you can factor in the danger of the encroachment, because everybody's getting the hell out of these places because everybody who's selling, why wouldn't they? So they're going to move in. And everybody's what? Just going to be a mass migration? Is this going to be like ancient Egypt, just vanish? I mean, talk about unwholesome. Very unwholesome. Because now no one even has an identity, an integrity. You'll never get another Pink Floyd band. It can't be helped. But I mean, if this just makes you just hunker down and keep buying new shit or having kids, how could you even think of having kids until you straighten this out? I mean, I guess that's what Archie Bunker meant by the word pinko. Lukewarm. I mean, even Jesus said it's going to be a lukewarm. You're going to, like, he said he'll spew us out if we're lukewarm. And to be able to, it's not rocket science. You can go in and figure out how things ended up like that. But if you think this is all right, then you're nuts. There's some average-looking girls, average-looking people. This was not above, below. That was like average for all of us back in 1981, and this is your average now. Good luck.